Prior to landing roles in Fatal Attraction, Damages and The Shield, Glenn Close spent her childhood as a member of a cult-like religious group called the Moral Re-Armament. Her father, a Harvard grad who worked as a doctor in Congo, joined up and moved Close and her family to Switzerland to be raised near the group's headquarters in Cause. Close then attended boarding school, and it wasn't until she was in the midst of studying acting at the College of William and Mary at age 22 that she ended up leaving the group founded in the 1930s by Rev. Frank Buckman, known for his belief that the world could avoid war if people experienced a moral and spiritual awakening. The Moral Re-Armament largely died out when Buckman passed away in 1961, and his successor Peter Howard 4 years later. Each of us had to go through that process of forgiveness. Close, who stars in The Wife, tells People's editor-in-chief Jess Cagle in the latest episode of the Jess Cagle interview streaming now on People TV of her family's life after the Moral Re-Armament. It wasn't easy for my parents to talk about, certainly my father. But I guess I've made my career figuring out the whys of behavior, and I did the same thing with my parents. Watch the full episode of the Jess Cagle interview, Glenn Close, streaming now on peopletv.com, or download the People TV app on your favorite device. Though the actress admits there was a time when she resented her father deeply, there came a point where I got very angry at my father and I wrote him this letter where I was absolutely honest with him, she recalls. I said, "You don't deserve to be called our father." I mean, it was so harsh. In fact, I read it to my mother and I read it to my siblings and I said, "I'm just going to send this to Dad, because he was a narcissist and he was brilliant, but he definitely had a dollop of narcissism." Close also believes her mother had a role in her strained relationship with her dad growing up. "I think in many ways my mom enabled him," the 6-time Oscar nominee continues. "She never developed her, where she was brilliant, to the point where she said to me, near the end of her life, 'I feel like I haven't achieved anything.'" For more on Glenn Close, pick up the latest issue of People, on stands Friday now. Close claims she understands how her parents became who they were at the time they entered the Moral Re-Armament. "I've learned more and more about them and more about what their situation was and how vulnerable they were at certain times," she says. "I think I really understand why they were so vulnerable to a group like that, not knowing the devastation that it would cause their children." The Wife hits theaters August 17.